Good morning, everybody, and welcome. My name is Anthony Kazazis, and I am the director of the NYC Network Group, as well as the NYC Real Estate Expo. Our special guest today and speaker today is Dolores Hirschmann, as well as our sponsor for today's webinar, How Do You Stand Out? Dolores is the director of the stage agency for Advance Your Reach and founder of Masters in Clarity. Dolores is an international recognized strategist, coach, entrepreneur for over 20 years. She helps clients clarify their idea worth sharing, designs their communication strategies, and implements business growth systems. Her clients become speakers and authors and take their message to a larger audience, like TEDx and beyond. As co-director of stage agency at Advance Your Reach, Dolores oversees a team of stage agents, strategists who help thought leaders, experts, and business owner advance their reach by speaking on stages. Dolores is a writer, TEDx organizer, and CTI certified and ICF accredited coach within the business degree from the University of San Andreas in Argentina. Originally from Buenos Aires, Dolores speaks fluent Spanish and French and lives in Dartmouth, Maine with her husband and her 4 children. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Dolores Hirschmann.
Thank you so much, Anthony, for the warm intro. And I'm excited to spend the next hour with everybody talking about the power of stages and how do we stand out and be that speaker that brings our message to larger audiences. So without further ado, I'm going to share my screen and we're going to get started. So how many of you, type me in the chat if you are a speaker or know the power of speaking. Just type me if you are a speaker or you've been speaking to grow your business. Because today we're going to be talking about the power of stages. And we're also going to talk about what some of you might be feeling is, have you ever felt as if you were a best kept secret, or you are either a broker or you are in the real estate business, and some of your clients probably have praised you and said you're the best person I've ever worked with. I hope that's true for many of you in this room right now. And so sometimes we feel that we're a best kept secret, that if only we could stand out and speak on behalf of our business, we would be able to impact and help more people. And that's really one of the things that have drove me to stages over and over again. As a coach and a business strategist, I've always gotten clients when I spoke in public. Let me ask you, Nicholas, I know, and Harry, you guys have, or Nicholas, you've spoken on behalf of your business. What are the chances that you will get at least one client? You can type 1, 2, or more. If you were to speak to a room of 100 people, just type 1, 2, or more. If you were to find a client, if you get to speak in front of a group of people, because in my experience, yes, exactly. In my experience, speaking is one of the fastest way to build a trust-based relationship. And we've learned with COVID that speaking doesn't just have to be in person. Virtual speaking, like what we're doing right now, is also a speaking engagement. And even if we're not able to meet each other physically in the same room, I'm in conversation with you through the chat right now. I can ask questions, you guys respond, and we are moving forward together in this hour that we're spending together. So speaking, if only we could do it more often, is probably the fastest way to grow our business in today's world. And so and the other thing that I want to share, and you may or may not have experienced this because of the nature of your business, but anybody out there who's either a consultant or a coach and has looked to grow their business through what's called ad spend or digital advertisement. Right now, we're in a moment where spending money on, let's say, Facebook ads has never been as expensive as it is right now. And so here at Advance Your Reach, we believe that the speaking is faster than anything else you can do to grow your business. And one of the things that we also believe, it's beyond business, and this is Pete Vargas, the founder of Advance Your Reach, is that we believe that we can change lives from stages. Let me ask you a question. Can you type on the chat the name of one speaker you heard at one point in your life? It could have been a small room, it could have been a huge conference, it could have been virtual, but can you type the name of one person that you heard speak and that it impacted your life in one way or another? Just type the name of that person. Les Brown. Perfect. Thank you, Stephen. Anybody else? Tom Peters. Every one of us have had an experience where we heard one person, and that one person had such an impact in our lives that maybe, just maybe, it might even have changed the course of our lives. So I believe, and we believe here at Advance Your Reach, that people change lives every single day from stages, and that is the opportunity that we all have to. We have that chance of really making a difference in someone's lives from stages. Now, let me ask you a question. Can stages change your life as well? Has any of you spoken to such extent that the art of speaking has grown your business to such growth that it changed your life? I know it has mine. As a TEDx organizer, being a TEDx organizer and being on that stage absolutely changed the course of my career. I was a business strategist before, and because of that experience, I became fascinated by the world of speaking. And today I am the stage agency director, and where we do what we do every day, day in and day out. I work with speakers and we help them amplify their message and have them reach larger audiences. So I know the stages have changed my life as well, because it has helped me grow my business to a place that I never imagined before. So stages can change someone's lives, and they also can radically change your life and your business. I love Tim Ringle is someone that we've worked with, because he's someone that has embraced stages to such extent that it has radically changed his business as well. So what I want to share with you today is I want to share what we call the stage framework, where I'm going to walk you through all of the elements that you need to embrace stages and embrace speaking as a way to move your business forward, but also understand what are all of the elements needed so that you can stand out and begin winning stages right now. Is that something you guys want to learn? Type yes in the chat and we're going to get started. And I know that, some of you might be on phones, so don't worry if you can't chat. I know you will get the recording later and you're going to get all of the elements. So great. Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Nicholas and Harry. So we will begin by the positioning. Here's the thing. We want to be really clear in how we present ourselves to a meeting planner. A meeting planner is someone like Anthony in this room right now, who is deciding who will be presenting to my audience. The meeting planner's job is to bring great content to their audiences. So the speaker's job is to make that job really easy to the meeting planner. So one of the things we talk about when we talk about positioning is having the elements and the tools that you need to win the stage. So obviously, needless to say, we need good photography. We need photography that represents who you are, puts you in a great light, but it's also not overproduced. We want some version of you that can be presented and used in your marketing material. We need what is called the speaker kit. And the speaker kit is what you will give a meeting planner to summarize what you are bringing to that meeting planner's audience. Again, you want to help the meeting planner look and feel like a hero because they picked the right speaker for their audiences. So the speaker kit will have elements such as your bio. It has to be short. You also wanted to have speaking titles, descriptions, and takeaway. So you wanted to be very clear about what you can talk about. Many speakers say, well, I'll just submit my bio and I can talk about almost anything, which it might be true for many of you, but it is important that you do the work up front and you kind of give the meeting planner clear understanding of what you're going to bring, what conversation you're going to bring to their audiences, and what will the audience walk away with. My goal and my intention from this meeting is that you walk away with a real understanding of all of the things, all of the puzzle pieces that you need to have in order to use speaking to grow your business and in order to stand out as you approach these stages. And so the third thing in the positioning elements is your Why Me video. Now, the Why Me video is just a video of you sharing with the meeting planner. This is a video that you record to send to the meeting planner where you share why you are the best speaker for the next upcoming event. And so here's where you want to be really clear about who is your ideal audience, what do you bring to them, and why that meeting planner will be successful if they select you as a speaker. Type yes or no if you have any questions on the positioning. And if you actually have questions, go ahead and type it in the chat because I love answering questions on the fly. We will also have a Q&A section at the end of the presentation. So if you have questions at the end, I will be happy to answer them as well. But these are the three main things you want to have in order to position yourself to speak and get selected by meeting planners. Now, the next part of this is understanding who is your audience. If you don't know who your ideal audience is, it would be really hard for you to find the right meeting planners to reach out to. And so understanding who is your audience and where do they gather is a critical element of your speaking career. So I'm going to ask you, type in the chat, who is your audience and where do they hang out? Because most of us think we know who our audience is, or we think we know where they gather. But when we sit down and try to do this work, it actually becomes harder than we think it is. And it's important for us to pause here and ask ourselves this question, because the next part of this presentation is going to talk about how we find the right events. So go ahead, put in the chat, who is your audience and where do they gather? What conferences, what podcasts, what seminars, what events do they gather at? So Harry and Nicole and Nicholas, if you want to go ahead and just type, who's your audience and where do they gather? And if you're having a hard time answering that question, then for sure, just make a note and go digging and go exploring the answer to that question. Yeah, so Laura, here's the thing with that, buyers and sellers everywhere. When we talk to everybody, it will become, it actually, we're not talking to anybody. It's really hard to find the right stages if we don't claim a niche. So, so Harry says business colleagues primarily in New York City. That's great. At least you have a location and a geography where you can target events. And Laura, one of the things I would invite you to explore is look at all the clients that you've worked with in the past and see if you can find some common denominator. Because when we understand who do we attract, I could work with anybody, but I specifically like to work, and I've been very successful working with service business owners, people who are selling their expertise or their services, from real estate brokers to real estate thought leaders to coaches, consultants, and and financial planners, all kinds of people who are selling a service. That's my sweet spot, and that clarity allows me to understand where I can find them. So understanding who your audience is and where do they gather is critical before we go into doing the research. Now, the research is all about understanding where we can find the events that will be a good match for our level of speaking, our goal of audience reach, and the message that we share. So, first of all, how many of you have been in Zoom events in the last 18 months? Just type me in the chat. I'm sure it's most of you. The last 18 months have revealed so many more speaking platforms than we've ever known before. Too many, exactly. So many that some of us, and I personally, have been flying as much as I can into gathering with people in person. Like I've found a new appreciation for small gatherings, smaller groups, smaller speaking events, because I get to see people. I'm actually right now as a speaker, I'm more interested in a room with 20, 30, or 100 people, preferably in person, than online. But that said, as a speaker, I also appreciate that I'm able to meet Stephen and Harry and Laura and Nicole and Nicholas, and get to talk with you and share some ideas and share my knowledge with you from the comfort of my home without leaving. So I think in the next few months and year, we will see where all this crazy new world settles. But I think virtual stages and digital stages are not going away. And in fact, I think there's going to be a new kind of hybrid world where we will spend some time on live stages in person and some time on digital, because there's an obvious advantage of reach, of economy, use of time in finding digital stages for us to speak. So as a speaker, I would absolutely encourage you to embrace digital stages, because it's a great way to reach more people with less of our time and in a more effective way. But let's talk about research. And this is just a simple first level research that I want you to start practicing. And is we want to use our friend Google. There's no magic here. Google can get us probably almost anything we need right now. But the magic is in how we search. So here are some queries you could use, some frameworks you could use to start searching for your ideal stages. So we typically use something like for example, for Harry, it would be New York City. I'm assuming you are a real estate broker or some kind of position. So let's say New York City plus real estate brokers plus conference, or New York City plus real estate broker plus seminar or event, get together, meet up, association, lunch and learn. You can change those words. Now, if you are not really worried about geography, for example, and you want to be speaking, let's say, on radio shows or podcasts, then you would have skipped the geography, but you put, let's say, real estate brokers and podcasts, and you get a whole list of events or podcasts that you could approach to be a guest. So here, just for example, so geography plus niche plus event type, or geography plus topic. Let's say that you are a real estate broker like Harry. Harry, I'm going to pick on you if that's okay. And you have identified that investors are a great target audience for you because you're looking for end user, right? Not maybe, maybe it's not, this is an event that you want to talk to buyers, not so much real estate brokers. And so you can say New York City investor plus conference. And you might get lucky and find an event in New York City that is geared to investors where they bring speakers on different types of investing, one of which could be real estate investment. So there's different ways to search depending on what you're looking for. And for most of you, these 4 types of search could be appropriate for the different types of events you want. So the other thing is call for speakers or call for presenters. That is a kind of the language that are used when big conferences are asking for speakers to present their topics. And this is important because every big conference out there is always looking for that new speaker in the circle, that voice that hasn't been heard. Yes, they might be harder to find or harder to be selected on a big conference, but always keep in mind that big conferences are always looking for a 10 or 20% of new voices. Because, in the different circles, they get tired of listening to the same presenters over and over and over again. So any questions on this, just type it in the chat. There are other ways, and so here's a trick actually I'm going to share. So when you're using these types of searches, what you're going to get is you're going to get the all results, right? That's what usually you get. You get a list of links and descriptions. What I like to do, and this is a little kind of trick that I want to teach you, is I switch to images in the Google. And the reason I do that is, first, I'm a visual learner. Like I my brain moves a lot faster if I can have a picture. And so if I'm familiar with the industry, and in this case, I look for Atlanta Cybersecurity Event 2020, right? And so let's say that I am familiar with this industry. If you go images, you're going to start recognizing some of the logos and maybe some of the events that you've been wanting to attend, or you've even attended as a participant. So this is a great way to identify quickly without having to go into each one of the links that Google sends you, because many times the description of the event might not trigger a memory, but a logo will. So this is kind of like a productivity hack that you might be able to use to really identify events that you want to be speaking at. Does that sound like a good idea? Just type yes, make sure that I'm not here alone. What I love about live events is that I get to chat with the chat room. When I do pre-recorded events, it feels very lonely. So thank you, Stephen, for saying yes. Another place that you might be looking at, and this is a great place to find more intimate, smaller events, which in my, from where I stand and what I see in the industry, small intimate events are really great nowadays. People are looking for conversation. That's what I'm so excited to be in a room that we have some live audience, because it's just a different experience if you're just sitting in your office listening to a pre-recorded. And if you're listening to a pre-recorded, I'm glad you are, but whenever you have a chance to attend live and have an interaction with the speaker, it's always better. And these kind of search options that I'm giving you here tend to have the smaller, more intimate events. So, and we can ask Anthony to put in the chat here, Anthony, where did you advertise or promote this event? Because he might give us some more ideas of where to find events. But LinkedIn now has an event section. And so if you go to LinkedIn and you go to events and you start searching for the types of events you want to speak at, then that might be the best way for you to go and identify the events that you can build a connection with a meeting planner. Note something, that when you're searching events, you very likely will find events that you don't qualify for. What I mean by that is they might already have happened, or they're happening next week or next month, and obviously they've already selected the speakers. But here's why this is important. You're never going to look for an event to be a speaker next week. You're always looking 3 to 6 months ahead, especially for the bigger events. Perfect, Anthony. So if you were to look at LinkedIn, you would have found this opportunity, this speaking engagement, this event. So you're always looking 3 to 6 months in advance. So if you look for events and they're happening this month, that's a great opportunity for maybe to check it out if it's free and it's easy for you to attend virtually, let's say, and you can get a feeling of what that event looks like so that you can properly position yourself. And two, it's a great way for you to reach out to the event planner, maybe right after the event happens, say a little bit about what you love about the event if you were able to attend, and then position yourself for the next year or the next coming event. Remember, just like in the real estate world and any industry, relationship is the fastest ticket to success. So is in speaking. So don't forget that it's all about building the relationships with the meeting planners that will select you to go on stages. So now let's shift to the stage strategy. So let's assume that you have your positioning materials. Let's assume that you have clarity around who your audience is and where they are hanging out, where do they gather, what events they attend. And you have started to do some research. You've populated maybe a spreadsheet with some options of where you want to speak. Now it's all about understanding which events you're going to go after, because going after the once a year events, while might be great, it might be also very frustrating. One of the things we teach is the concept of the portfolio approach to speaking, is looking at speaking as a short, medium, and long closing cycle. So what is a short cycle opportunity? Something that happens all the time, that is easy to access. Maybe you have a connection, maybe you know someone who knows someone, or maybe it's just easy to find information on the online and approach. So podcasts are a great example of short cycle, quick wins for you to be on a stage. And yes, podcast is a stage. On a stage within the next 30 days. I always, when I present, I always give people a challenge. I'm going to give you this challenge, is that I want you to be selected to speak, to be a guest on a podcast. I want you to have 2 opportunities on a podcast by July 15. Who's on with the challenge? Type yes if you accept the challenge. Be featured in 2 podcasts by July 15. That's my challenge for you and homework for you right now. And so that's just one way to start getting into the habit of getting your name and your message out there. Now, a medium cycle, closing cycle opportunity is something that may also be recurring, but it might take a little bit longer for you to secure. It could be lunch and learn at an organization. It could be a monthly seminar or an event that happens 2 or 3 times a year. These are events that still small, in the under 200 people audience, but that they are, that they are not so fast to close. It may take you 30 to 60 days and maybe multiple contacts or touch points with a meeting planner for you to secure this stage. That's what a medium close cycle opportunity would be. And then last but not least is a long closing cycle. So whenever we create a strategy for reach out, you want to have some that are going to be harder to reach, that are kind of like your dream stages. They're going to take longer, so you don't get frustrated because it's a longer process. It's 6 to 9 months to close. And you want to always have 1 or 2 that you are trying to approach for this kind of time frame of closing. And this is where the understanding what events are happening right now is a great strategy, because if you know what's happening, let's say in the next 3 months, of course, you're not going to be eligible to participate because they always have their speakers kind of pre-selected unless they have an emergency and they need someone else. But it's a great opportunity for you to identify what are those stages and to start working towards building a relationship with a meeting planner for the following year or the following event. So long cycle, long closing cycle stages will take longer, will require more of relationship building with the meeting planner. So once we understand the strategy and we do the research, the next part is what we call the reach out. Knowing where we want to speak and making a list is one thing. Now, reaching out and securing those opportunities, it's a whole other thing. What you're seeing on the screen right now is what we call the Unstoppable Stage Campaign. This is a set of actions, and if you notice, there's a different kind of combination of types of action. We have phone call, we have something in the regular mail, we have video emails, we have emails, and more phone calls. Because what we want to do is, once we identify the stages that we want to secure, then it's our job to start creating a reach out and follow-up strategy that will land us a stage. This is a dance between being persistent, assertive, but at the same time being professional and being respectful, but not getting, like, no answer is not an option. You are either going for the yes or you're going for the no. Like, you literally, it's like what you guys do in your work day in and day out. When you're selling a house, you're going for a yes or you're going for a no. And you will stay on that opportunity until you get a resolution. And even if you get a no, we always have something called the rebound sequence, where you say, you take the no and say, well, I understand it's not a great match right now. Good luck on your event. And then you start re-engaging with a meeting planner, hoping for an opportunity to come in the future. So the research is part of the equation, but the most important part of the equation is a consistent reach out so that you can land the stages that you want. The next part of this framework, and it's very important, is understanding the mind of the meeting planner. The mind of the meeting planner is understanding what is the decision process of a meeting planner. And we have a podcast that I strongly suggest that you check it out, Inside the Green Room podcast. You can just Google it, Inside the Green Room. And we have interviews with at this point, hundreds of meeting planners that control stages. That might be a great place for you to listen in and understand what a meeting planner goes through when they're looking to secure a speaker. And so the next part of this is, speaking is just part of the equation, but the most important part is using speaking to grow your business. And so here's just an example of a tool that we use, and I'm going to put the link in the chat so that you have it. You can download it if you want. But we use landing pages with a free resource to capture people's information and nurture that relationship in the future. For every stage that you are on, you want to either offer them a product or a service, or at a minimum, capture their information so that you can start building a relationship with that person. I've seen a stage bring more than $100,000 in business. And that's just in the low end. Because one key client, and for many of you in the real estate space, one client, one home, and that's a big paycheck for some of you. And so it could just take one stage to bring over $100,000 in business. Am I missing the dollar sign there? So I'll fix that. So we believe that speaking is the fastest way to grow our business. But one of the things that we've encountered over and over again is that while speaking is the fastest way to grow your business, it sometimes can be a lot for a business owner to tackle on their own. And, much as we could use 50 hands and 100 cups of coffee, you know, getting through the research and reach out in a consistent way and getting out there in front of the meeting planners requires a strategy and a commitment that is not always possible if you already have a full plate. That's why the stage agency was born, and that's a stage agency that I run at Advance Your Reach. And we've launched the agency in the middle of a pandemic. And there's two things that we did. Back then, we focused on virtual events and digital events. And what we did is we offer our speakers an opportunity where we would help them come up with a stage strategy, match them with a stage agent who partners with the speaker to get them on stages. We do the research for the client. We do the reach out and reporting for the client. And what the client has to do is show up and speak on behalf of their business. And that's where we created a all in-house done for you solution to get our speakers to speak executing our Unstoppable campaign. We've won over 1,500 stages since we began in January 2020. And we've placed speakers all over, thanks to digital and virtual, we've placed speakers all over the world at this point. Well, some of our speakers are well-known names. Many of our speakers are people who are just using stages to grow their business, and that they're growing because they've realized that when you are on a stage, you get to build a relationship with your audience. And so one of the things that I want to invite you is for you to think, what is possible if you can speak consistently? And just type it in the chat. What would one client per speaking engagement do to your life and your business? And so if this is something that you are interested in and something that you might want to explore, we would love to consider exploring if we are a good fit for you. So I want to invite you to apply to be a speaker for our agency and have us represent you as a speaker. Here's the thing. I believe that speaking is the fastest way to grow our business. And I remember that first client years ago that emailed me and said, I heard you on such and such podcast. And as a result of that podcast, that person became my client, now working with me over many years and bringing in thousands of revenue to my business, while at the same time allowing me to have an impact and work with this person and their company for them to grow their business. So if you feel like you are a best kept secret, and if you feel that speaking can be the fastest way to grow your business, I encourage you to explore, if we can help you get on stages. And, I would love to answer any questions you might have right now. And one of the things that we see all the time is people come to us and say, well, but I've never spoken before, or I don't really have a signature talk. Well, one of the things that we always say is once you have your signature talk, which is something that I can Advance Your Reach, we do that all the time as well, is not having spoken before should not stop you. Because at some point, what you need to do is build your speaker momentum. Create that momentum where each time you are on a stage, you get the opportunity to be seen by a meeting planner and get recommended by the meeting planner. I always say that there is, for every stage that you're on, you have the opportunity to land 2 or 3 more stages, either with the same meeting planner or the referrals from that original meeting planner. Let me ask you a question to everybody. Where have you spoken before? I think it was Harry, who has already been speaking on behalf of their business. Where have you spoken before on behalf of your business? And what was your experience? Social media. So thank you, Nicole, for bringing that up. Social media right now is a great stage. And by the way, you don't need a meeting planner to invite you. Social media is all about turning on your camera and finding an audience where you can add value. So if you guys are building a Facebook group or a LinkedIn group, that is a great way for you to have recurring opportunities to speak just by doing videos and Facebook lives or even Instagram lives. But also finding, if you belong to a Facebook group, let's say, with a lot of members, you can reach out to the host of that Facebook group and ask, would it be okay to do an interview with you? Or would it be okay to share my expertise? Or to give your members something for free in exchange for their information. There's so many opportunities out there to get your voice in front of a larger audience simply by bringing in your message to different audiences. So one of the things that I love to share is that in today's world, you can define what a stage is, because the stage is no longer a platform in a theater where someone has to usher you in. A stage could be anywhere you can find an audience that is interested in your message. Nicole, what kind of social media strategies do you use, or what social media activities do you use to promote your Instagram daily posts? Perfect. I love that. And what have you seen as a result? Have you seen traction? Have you seen private messaging from people? What has been the results from a consistent? Oh, I love that. Yeah, that's simple. I didn't know you sold homes. People don't know you exist until you show up. People don't know your best kept secret and until you tell them what you do. I love that. Thank you, Nicole. That's so important. At the end of the day, the game is about how consistent can you show up in front of your ideal audience and share with them how you can help them. Because there's always people who need what you're offering. It's kind of your personal responsibility to consistently show up and share what you do with the world. That's awesome. One of the other things that always comes up for us is, do I have to sell from stage, or I don't have a product to sell from stage? Well, as a real estate agent, you're not going to sell a house from stage unless you're auctioning a house. And so it's always important for you to give something of value in exchange for people's information. Is give something of value so that you can really collect the information from the audience and start building and nurturing a relationship. It's all about someone getting to trust you so that then they can come to you when they are in need, either to buy a house or sell a house. In the case of the business that you guys are in, is that, I remember when I sold my house, I didn't just go look for someone online or on the newspaper, on the back then Yellow Pages. I asked around, and I asked my friends who had they used as a real estate agent. And I went through referral, word of mouth. And then when I had to sell my second home, I used the original realtor because I had had such experience. So in some ways, stages, especially a stage that is hosted by someone with an audience that is a trusted audience, stages work as scalable word of mouth. Literally, they become third-party endorsements by simply being placed on that stage by that meeting planner who is trusted by their audience. So, Anthony, I don't know if you have any thoughts or questions that you want to add.
Very good, Dolores. Yeah, I guess I do have a question. There is another fellow out here, Harry. Welcome, Harry. It's good to see you. And we're both event planners. We have lots of speakers. I'm sorry, I didn't put my ring light on. We have a lot of different speakers that would qualify for this program. Do you suggest us reaching out to those speakers that speak at our events and to refer them to your organization, to your application to be a speaker? Because I know you guys are doing an amazing job, and I've seen some of your events on these large, stadium platforms, and I'm sure our speakers would be so excited to participate in that type of an atmosphere, in that type of an arena. I would. So tell us about what Harry and I, at least Harry and I know Camille's on here as well, and Camille's an amazing global speaker. A guy like Camille, would he qualify for sending in an application to you? And if your organization likes what they hear, tell us how it works.
Yes, so thank you so much. So the way it works is of course, we want to make sure that it's a good fit and that we can be successful together. And so what we do, we are kind of a new model in the industry. We are the antithesis in some ways of a speaker bureau. As a speaker myself, I've tried to be represented by speaker bureaus. The problem with speaker bureaus is that they are working on commission, and they're working mostly for the meeting planners. They are in service of the meeting planner, which is great, but they only get compensated by placing a high paid speaker. Our speakers, some are paid speakers, some are not. We are not looking for the high paid speaker because we believe that speaking is a way to grow your business. Why would you get paid $20,000, let's say, for a speaking engagement, which is a great fee, when maybe your programs or your services or your real estate services could yield hundreds of thousands of dollars for your business? And so many of our speakers are speaking either for a fee or for no fee in exchange of bringing their message to an audience, collecting leads, and growing their business. And so what we look for in our speakers are speakers that have a business that is ready to scale and that they can accommodate more business. What we don't want a speaker who, let's say, is a therapist that only works one-on-one and is pretty full, because we can get them on stages, but they're not going to ever realize the ROI of our stages. Because it's all about a way to grow your business.
Gotcha. And you'll be sending out that application form to everyone, right? Dolores, you'll send out that to reinsure, because I know that there are a lot of people that register that are not on this live show right now, and they would definitely fit that requirement. They would definitely fit, the mold for your speaking opportunity that you're willing to offer. I like it. It's very exciting, because I noticed that you did have some type of a show, like a competition, just recently.
So let me tell you about that.
Tell us about what you want. Yeah, you just talk about that a little bit, because it kind of reminded me of a Shark Tank thing, and I think they wanted me as a judge or someone.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that. If I didn't have COVID, I would have jumped on it, but I was out of commission for a while.
So Advance Your Reach is a big organization, and it's been around for about 5 or 6 years now. And what they stand for is the same that we've been talking about. It's about advancing people's reach through speaking. So Advance Your Reach offers workshops on writing your signature talk, on creating scalable products if you don't have them, and then ultimately the stage agency at Advance Your Reach will help you get on stages. That's what we do. And so we have an annual event that just happened in June, where we have, and actually this year is going to be 2 of them, but we're preparing something pretty cool for the fall. But we have what we call the Speak Off. And so people who are speakers, who want to participate, they will send us a video to qualify. And if they're selected, they're invited to speak. And it's a 3-minute speech in front of judges where they will deliver their signature talk, a very short version. And there's some elements to that, and we coach them and we prep them. And so then they become part of the speak of them, the finalists, and they basically present in front of some of the biggest meeting planners in the world today. Many in the motivational speaking space, many on the we had meeting planners from Traffic and Conversion Conference. We had meeting planners from the Lisa Nichols group. Like, we had meeting planners from some very big groups this year. And so when you go into speak off, you are basically have the chance to be asked to speak in some of those big platforms. And this year we're having a whole event in the fall, another speak off that you guys should, stay in the lookout for, because it's gonna be amazing.
That's good to know. And now you obviously, you and your crew and you and your team at Advance Your Reach, you have lots of events, lots of conferences. Will our registered attendees receive notifications for all those events from here on in?
Yes, they will be notified on events that are happening, that are hosted by Advance Your Reach. We have a community of hundreds of thousands of people called Rise Up World, where we bring a speaker every single week. So those that are part of the Rise Up World community, it's free to join. And you can probably, I'll share the link there. I know I'm interviewing some guests next week. We bring guests every single week to Rise Up World.
Laura, so everything was great. I'm so happy that you came on board and delivered this webinar. We will, of course, put it onto our live page, nycrealestateexpo.com/NYC Live. But Dolores, I'm really happy you came on, and I'm happy that Advance Your Reach is a sponsor of these webinars.
Well, thank you, Anthony, for having us, and thank you. I'm glad you recovered from COVID and that you're looking so well.
Thank you.
I believe that Strategist is the fastest way to grow our business, and is the fastest way to build a trust-based relationship with our clients. And so if you are in the space of growing your business through building trust-based relationships, then by all means, accept my challenge and be on 2 podcasts by July 15, 2021.
It's very exciting. Event planning is exciting, and it's nice to bring people together. It's nice that live shows are coming back. But again, it's important to keep the virtual events going too, because there's a lot of people out there that are extremely very nervous to be amongst large crowds. So we'll continue doing virtual events as well as live shows in the future. So once again, thank you, Dolores, and thank you, audience, and we'll see you soon. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dolores. Bye-bye, everybody.